Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 5 of Drag Racing Friends. I am so thrilled to death to be joined again by Mr. Barrett Green and, of course, Mr. Petty himself. Right down here is going to be our special guest today, because today it is all about the 10K Drag Shootout. The 10K Drag Shootout is totally up my alley, which is why I was thrilled to death to be involved in season 1 and 2 of the show. It's all about taking no money and no time and building a really bitchin' race car. And it's really kind of amazing how great some of the cars were and how not so great others were in both season 1 and season 2. But an absolute riot to be a part of and an absolute riot to watch, because everybody loves carnage, everybody loves conflict, everybody loves drama, and I think there was plenty of that, don't you think, Petty?
Yeah, I'll say there was plenty of all of that for sure.
You know, it's one of those deals where when you put teams of people, and in this case 4 teams, in very close quarters, I mean, where they're having to share space and tools and step over each other and compromise on, you know, what goes where and who's using what first, the tempers sometimes flare. Of course, so do the shenanigans. That means we had a lot of good times. But man, it is certainly not without its stresses. And I know we have some great guests that are going to be on today. We're going to tell some cool stories about the show. But before we get into all of that, we have to start off with our Insanity segment, the special segment where the 3 of us are going to watch this YouTube clip. We are all going to laugh together, cry together, scream together as we watch the sizzle, if you will, for season 3 of the 10K Drag Shootout.
In this sport, if you ain't first, you're last.
There's always somebody bigger, badder, faster than you.
We played this game and we beat them in their own backyard.
The stress level is definitely higher.
It's life. It's reality.
Smash loud bells. Bump. Bump.
Lightning.
If you're gonna cheat a little bit, why not cheat a lot? That's part of the game, right?
When I crossed the line, I was ready.
We've got to cool the car down, or we'll run it down there and blow the whole cooling system out of this.
These are the kinds of moments that get me really excited. I love this stuff.
This is life. It doesn't get any more real than this.
Oh my God, that pisses me off.
What pisses you off?
Because I'm not in it this season. That's what pisses me off. God, I love... Well, no, we knew we couldn't, Barrett. They wouldn't let us. They told us we could come one time and that was it. So,
they're like, we're tired. We are tired of y'all.
Yeah, we couldn't do it anyway. It's just too much of a draw from Peter Harrell and Biggin for their business. It's so crazy, but still, you watch that, dude, the intensity. I will note that I believe that more of the sound bites came from Team Biggin than any other team. Perhaps that's because we are, better at speaking.
True.
Loud.
I mean,
very loud.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I'll give you that.
What do you think, Barrett? When you see that, does that just make you want to be a part of something like this, or does it make you go, oh, hell no?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any, like fab skills, or, I mean, obviously I'm not the driver mod or anything, but I mean, if there's a position for like, comic relief or, shit talking, I'm down. You know what I mean? But
Keith, that's exactly up Keith's alley.
Yeah, there we go.
Totally. Yeah. You bring all of the skill, just less money than Keith Barrett.
Yeah,
I mean, that's it right there.
Apparently, you don't need very much. I mean, it's you got to spend $7,000 on the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as a fan, I've watched both seasons. First season, I knew Team Bodie and Team Stinky Pinky. I knew those guys, and seeing them, on TV and in real life and everything, and then seeing them on the show. It was funny because I know that both of them are, characters, and Bodie and Russ and all them, they're like serious business, but then you kind of like break their shell and then they have a good time.
Oh,
But
yeah,
like
and
Stinky Pinky and them, they're just wound up 24/7.
dude. And I have to
Yeah.
tell you, I knew Dean before from the bracket race world, and I've always loved that guy. He's just pure entertainment, right? But but seeing him in that element was a whole nother ball game, and good and bad. I mean, quite frankly, those guys looked so bad the first few days. When I say bad, I mean unprepared. There was apparently some miscommunication on how much planning should be done ahead of time versus at the event. And so, but here's the thing about it. I say this because they ended up with arguably one of the baddest cars in the group.
Yeah, it was a hot rod.
I don't think anyone will argue that car was the most impressive car in season 1, just because of how much of an underdog they actually were. Honestly.
Oh, yes, and it just had the most attitude. It was the crowd favorite. Everything you expect from Dean, that was. And you know what? Again, they thrashed like everybody else, and they made it happen. And, you know, maybe they came out of the gate a little soft, but they finished really strong. And above all, they had the right attitude. You know, there were times, don't get me wrong, where they were fighting internally, and we know that. We saw it on the show. But their attitude was right. And I have to say, that's one of the things that I think is super critical. We can all talk smack and yell and scream. Everybody's getting wound up. There's no doubt about it. But, man, there's something about still, we're all racers together, and when it's all said and done, we should be able to hug it out. We should be able to come to common ground and go, man, I am pissed. I hate that I lost to you, but you beat me fair and square, and this was good. And I think that, especially when you consider the crazy drama that was going on that season at Norwalk, it turned out really cool. I mean, everybody, all these teams working together and having a good time. And you know what people didn't see? There's so much. I don't want it to sound like the editing crew didn't show everything they could show, because we literally would have 100 episodes.
Yeah, we would. Absolutely, we would. There's so much stuff that gets chopped on the cutting room floor, and it kills us to have to do that. But it's like, dude, it'll be a 10-hour episode. Like, there's no way. Yeah. There's too much stuff.
And there's so much awesome drama going on. And of course, let's not forget, and I mean, we all understand it is all part of it, that this is supposed to be entertainment, right? This is supposed to be, drama-filled. I mean, that's the whole point of this. So, you know, the edits are going to be made to create that hook at the end of an episode. It's going to be made in order to make that drama look even crazier, right? It's going to be edited in a way that it makes it look like Chad's losing his mind when it really isn't that big a deal, when the truth is there was a lot more going on behind it that, you know, people probably didn't know.
Sure.
So, but that's all part of it. And the thing about it that I want to slap myself about is all the negativity, all of the bad parts, all of the heartache, all of the money out of my pocket. Oh my God. All of everything that could be a negative, because this year we had the fire and all those things. I still just want to come back and start building the damn car again.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that was what blew my mind the most, is there was such a hurdle to overcome with that fire, and then Joe's passing. That was super tough for everybody. I can't even imagine the teams, you know, how they felt about it. But I mean, after all that, it just, I don't know. Me personally, from my spot, it couldn't have turned out any better as far as like watchability and drama and just overall like dovetailing into a nice ending. But man, the drama and the hard work and the long hours, I couldn't even calculate how many hours the production team, let alone all of the teams, you guys building the cars. It was insane.
Oh, it is. And it's, you know, one of the things I think that's interesting about first season versus second season, and then I want to ask you some questions about third season coming up. So the first season, nobody knew what to expect, right? And we had a very, very detailed plan, right? Beer Money, when it rolled out of the garage there, was exactly the car that we intended to build. I mean, we did every single thing the way we intended to do it. It had some cool, colorful, fun stuff that was different, but generically speaking, it was the car we had planned to build before we ever turned a wrench or even did a competition to win that car. And that was cool, right? It was so neat to see the plan come together. It was so cool to execute it while drinking insane amounts of cold beer, while arguing and smack talking and doing all these things with everybody else. And then to get to Norwalk feeling so confident and then having trouble with the car that turned out to be something so amazingly stupid. And to figure it out in the final round so the car actually left the starting line for the first time the right way, made it just that much better. I mean, it was amazing. You know, and all the teams, even though there was crazy, cheating drama and all these things in season 1,
and season 2,
we all sort of got to know. Yeah, I know. Don't trust me. I'm getting to that one. Everybody sort of still came together when it was all done, right? Like, I see Dean all the time at NPK races and bracket races and stuff. Love that guy to death. I see all the comp Dream Team guys, Jesse and those guys, see them all the time. Bodie, I see Bodie at races all over the place too.
Yep.
Jay's good people. And so overall, I think everybody other than Big Dwayne, with rare exception, there's one or two guys that just, disappeared after season 1.
Yeah.
Season 2, we roll in, same plan. You assholes bring in the wagon and throw the huge twist in, which I know you had a lot to do with. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a wagon guy. I love the Moonshine Missile. I love it.
Oh, it's fantastic now.
It is. It's so good. And it's everything we planned for it to be once we knew we had to have it.
But the planning time was just so short after that, because it's like you had no idea, and then you had to just run with it and plan and go.
Oh, yeah, and that cost me... The switchover personally cost me $500 to $1,000. It had to have cost everybody else on the team several $100s each as well, because we had already bought parts that we now couldn't return, so we just own them. Like the original 8.8 that was going in the S10, it's in my garage. And don't get me wrong, I'll use it, but I didn't need to buy it. And the thing is that when I had to go out and find one for a Mustang in order to fit in the Fox, it cost way more money.
They're harder to find because everybody's scooping them up, whereas like the Explorer, because I'm guessing you had an Explorer one, right? If I remember right?
Yep.
They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
I pulled it out of a pick-apart.
Exactly.
Myself, on the ground, in the dirt myself, right? But then, then you roll... Oh, no, go ahead, Barrett.
Well, I was saying for an S10, you got to get 2 because you need both the short stubs of the axle for an 8.8 swap.
We're just short.
Or is it the other way around?
No, because we were putting ends on it from
Mosier.
So we just cut them to where they're even and call it a day.
Yep.
But normally you are correct, sir. You're an S10 guy,
Yeah. And so what I from I guess we'll just be the fan view over here. What I think is cool is, I don't know if you guys ever watched, but it was on TLC, or Junkyard Wars.
Yeah.
You ever watch that show years ago? That's really what it reminds me a lot of. And you still see the cars and stuff racing, like they street race Dr. Rod Knocker and Lyle's always messing around with the car. I don't know where the G body is from Bodie and them, but
I don't
what's
know,
his name
actually.
still races the Regal. So I mean, these cars are it's not like a one-off deal. Like you see, some of these shows like, today we're building this, and then you never see it. It gets crushed or something for insurance purposes. Like these cars, for the $10,000 budget, they're still racing. You now all of a sudden you don't have this constraint of, hey, we've got to get it done, tune, and race. Now we can race and tune on it and progress it and see how fast we could have really gone with 10,000. Which that's not really encapsulated on the show, but as a racer, that's cool to me to see, hey, we're still sticking with it. We didn't say, hey, we're going to get rid of this 4.8. Let's put a, bad boy 6-bolt LSX block in it. Like, let's see how fast we can go for the $10,000.
Oh, yeah, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. And we've always said that's what we were planning on doing with both the Missile and beer money was just everybody race it, and that's why we race it all over the place. And quite frankly, because this year was so screwed up with the COVID deal, it messed it up, because like I'm supposed to have driven the beer money, Biggins racing the Moonshine Missile, which he has gotten to run luckily once now.
Luckily,
they're actually running it this weekend again.
Yeah, a match race.
Yeah, but there's this has screwed up all of our plans for all kinds of stuff we're doing with the cars this year, and places that they were supposed to be. And it's interesting though, because the Missile, we love that thing too. It's just so good. But it was so disheartening also, because it burned and it changed the way it looked, and we lost our big Team Biggin lettering on the nose that was done by Tom, wasn't it?
It was
Tom that
super.
did that?
It was super cool. It was either Tom or Sean Cook, but man, it turned out so cool.
It was Sean.
It was Sean.
Yes, it was Sean Cook who did it, and it was so nice. It was so rad. It
was
fit
badass.
So well,
it was badass.
It was, and we loved it, and we were so excited, and so that was hard, and then we had to buy all these other parts for the car to fix it, because the whole nose melted off, all the stuff around the headlights and the grill and all that stuff's all fiberglass and plastic. It just melted away,
But Biggin did a fantastic job. Like, honestly, the flames and all that, dude, great. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, were you guys going to be stuck with the wagon regardless, or only if you got first choice?
Nope, regardless.
Regardless, we were getting it. We had planned on getting the S10, no question. That's why we needed to win, and we did.
and
but
they did.
We didn't get to keep it, although the S10 may be coming to my family. It may be. We'll see. Dean has it. Before COVID, we were talking about it coming here. We'll see. I have enough projects, but it's interesting anyway. The big deal though about the fire was the unknowns, right? The Aussies had melted stuff that they knew how to fix, right? It was easy. It was just the taillight panel, luckily, and the hatch. They got so lucky because it didn't travel under the car and burn anything else, right? We were unlucky, obviously. Our hood scoop became a chimney, and it got so hot it melted the insides of the rack. The steering rack was melted inside. It was crazy the amount of the cylinder heads were soft. I mean, it was bad.
It was bad.
The bad thing about that though is that because we didn't know some of the damage and what have you, and we had to just make the assumption that this was still going to be okay, it bit us. I mean, the transmission deal was really a bad deal.
That was tough, man. That was a really tough blow for sure.
It was, and the worst part about that, honestly, was not that the transmission didn't work.
I know.
It was all the drama behind the scenes when everybody talked smack about, oh, well, your fancy transmission. Our transmission was a stock case turbo 400 with one aftermarket replacement part
and
inside,
a valve body.
And a valve body. And the replacement part inside was a Sonax hub that any turbo 400 that got pulled out of any truck and put in to Plano Transmissions here in Plano, Texas
would have it.
They would. That's the only part available. You can't.
Sure.
That's what the replacement junk is. It's just is what it is. So it was one of those things where all we wanted to do was scream, But there was. I would argue that even though the cheating in year one was,
I still don't know the full extent of it. I really don't.
Well, year one was so explosive, but year two, dude, I think the cheating was way worse.
Okay. So, in retrospect, dude, think of how many hats I was wearing in season one. I was the main parts approver, tech guy, whatever. I was hosting the show. I was like doing all this stuff, and it's like, dude, you watched it. You all watched it happen live when I completely broke down at the race. It's like, dude, I can't handle this. Yeah. And then season two, it's like my whole workload was like 10% of what it was. And so, like, I don't know. It was just a totally wild ride.
Well, and I mean, I'll tell you straight up the things that we did. Like, every bit of cheating that people thought we did, like with a transmission, did not happen. The only thing that we cheated on, I mean, literally the only thing, is that we swapped our battery and got a new charger at the event and tried to hide it as best we could. You guys all knew we did it. Because the battery that we had did not work because the fuel pump died and other things, which dead shorted the thing and killed it. So that was it. Otherwise, we didn't have any illegal parts in our junk. We didn't have anything different. I mean, it was what it was.
The one thing I want to know is who started the rumor of your billet crank? Because, like, I looked at that crank and, like, I know the difference between a cast and a forged crank, especially a billet. And, dude, you could straight see on the journal the solid line right down the crank. And everybody's like, where's your billet crank? And it's like, dude, I personally saw that unless they took it to their hotel room or their Airbnb and swapped it. It's got a 5.3 crank. Like, I don't know where that rumor got started. Maybe you guys started it. I don't know.
That was year one. Yeah, everybody swore that. Dude, it was a factory crank. In fact,
I watched it go in.
There are guys that have parts of it still from when it came out of the bottom of the car.
I watched it go in. I watched Pete or whoever lay it in, and it's like, oh, that's clearly, it's not even forged.
We never
no way.
left, our engine never left the building in any form of assembly. It left the building, like the block to get machined and all that, but we brought all the parts back to put them together. And then somebody also said the same thing about our big block in season 2, and I'm like, dude, it was a legit cast stroker crankshaft. Legit, I mean, dude, it is a cast crankshaft. Yep. Not forged, dude. Not forged, even.
I don't get it because especially in season 1, it's like, dude, if you're going to replace anything else in that motor, it ain't going to go from a stock crank. Like, they're not junk. You're going to upgrade other things and hide them on the internals. You guys were running stock LT1 rods.
Right. We had stock rods. They were Gen 3 instead of Gen 2.
Yeah.
Okay. You saw I bought all the parts for that engine from a dude that I know.
I remember.
Who had them to put together a motor and got a deal on another motor, so they were in totes.
I remember.
The corner of his garage. Remember, there were more rods than we needed.
No,
like
I just
10
remember.
rods or something.
The one thing I called you out on, and I just let it slide because I had just too much shit going on, is the rod bolts. They were not factory rod bolts. And it's like, dude, they're fucking what are they, $50?
Right.
I don't give a shit about that.
I forgot about that.
That's it.
But they weren't ARPs. They were like
China
upgraded Chinese or whatever.
Better than the stock bolts, but still, like, and that's the reason I'm just like, dude, I don't give a shit. Oh, even ARPs are going to be $60. I don't care. Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, we laughed so hard about that. That was probably one of the most entertaining things too, actually, was Pete putting the LS together, because Pete is so used to everything being right, and I'm like, dude, stock bottom end, we've made 1,400 horsepower, Pete, with the stock original timing set. It will be okay. And
it'll
Pete's
be fine.
Like, it won't work. I'm like, yes, it will. I promise you.
Pulling hair out.
Here's another beer. Keep porting the heads, dude.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But you're dealing in his realm. Like, he's like, no, this is it. And you're like, hey, just let's dial back the HED a little bit here.
Yes, exactly. A little less HED. We can't go to 11, my brother. We got to go to 9. Yeah. Oh, the best deal was, I don't know why this just popped into my head. Well, it was a Pete thing. In season 1, when we're at Norwalk and we're going to the finals, and we're under the car cooling it off, and the brakes are locked, and we realize this, and I'm underneath rolling from side to side, taking stuff apart. Biggin's on one side, Jason's on the other, right? And they're dealing with the brakes, and I'm like, oh my God, our shims are wrong, and we get washers and shit in there. All we care about is that the wheels are rolling free. Really, whether there were brakes that worked was not my first concern. I just needed the car to roll. And so we get this thing working, and there was all kinds of stuff. Everybody said right
before final round.
Oh,
before final round. Like, this is when this all happened.
Yeah, and literally they were going to have us be the final pair of cars down the racetrack. And they told us we had to come. And I reached into my back pocket, pulled my wallet out, threw it out from under the car to Jeff Brandenburg, who owns Dykes and Strippers, the wiring service for race cars. And I told Brandenburg, go to the staging lanes and pay somebody not to go in the lanes so that we get extra time. I said, give them $100 and tell them no. So he rolls up to a dude with a 4i Fox body who says, you don't owe me any money, I'll drag my feet. Now, somebody had a problem on the racetrack, so we didn't end up needing the delay, right? But that's what we did.
But still, well, you do what you got to do to make it.
Yeah.
100%, I agree.
Yeah. And it was funny, though, because we get it up there, we're in the staging lanes. Lyle's fiance, Melissa, is standing there in front of the car, and she's on the phone with Mark, Lyle's dad, who has never missed Lyle racing ever before until this weekend, right? So he knows that there was a brake problem. So I'm belting Lyle in the car. Mel asks if everything's all right. I said, yeah. And she goes, it's Lyle's dad. He wants to know if the brakes are all right. And I said, oh, yeah, they're fine. And she says, they're fine. And he asks her, are they fine like they're working or they're fine like they're not dragging? And I looked at her and went, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what I was going to say. It's like, you shut the door, or right before you shut the door, tell Lyle, take the last turn off and shut the door.
Dude. Oh, I told him, I said, son, be on the chute and let this sucker just roll on down there because we don't know how good. We know one end will work. We just don't know how well. And it turns out the brakes were totally fine. But it was funny because here's the best part, though. Every run, the cars spun the tires. Every run. Because in essence, it's had the line lock.
It was dragging. It was dragging the whole front.
So Pete is standing there and he goes, he's got the laptop on the roof. And I go, what are you doing? And he goes, I think I'm putting something back in it. And I said, dude, it spun the tires every run. And he goes, I know I pulled some out of it because I thought, he goes, but man, if this thing works, it's going to work right now. Yeah. And I said, all right. So Pete put more in it, and Lyle goes, what did he say? I said, shut up and drive the car.
Yeah.
Dude, that's why we were so excited when it left the starting line. It wasn't just because the brakes weren't locked up. It was because, holy crap, Pete didn't put too
whole
much
shot
in
of the balls out of Dwayne. Dude. Holy shit.
Yeah, Dwayne, Lyle. Oh, dude, shit, I was supposed to... Oh, what? That's what that button
dude,
was for?
It sucks because it didn't show, like, my reactions, which is fine, like, in the final episode. Dude, do you remember? Dude, I was jumping, hugging all of you guys, because, like, dude, I did not want Dwayne to win because he's such a freaking... I don't know how to say it. I'm just like, dude, when you...
The word you're looking for is cocky dick. That's the words you're looking for.
That comes to mind. A lot of other things come to mind, but dude, like I was so ecstatic. Yeah. I was so ecstatic when you guys won. I couldn't hold my emotions in any longer, especially with everything that had happened that whole day.
Well, you know I was mad at you when the final episode of season 2 came out.
Oh, I know.
I was mad at you because you said, oh, and the turbo car out whole shots the nitrous car. No, it was car with the trans brake versus foot brake car at that point. But it's okay. I know that was drama. Here's the thing. Now, I know some of the people on the teams for season 3.
Yeah.
Right? You do too, Barrett.
I do too.
And dude, okay, so this is the no prep edition, which I totally approve of, as you well know. I also approve of the new format of build them, race them right away. I don't know if that's public.
It should be. I believe it is.
That's a Keith Haney press release.
Yes, it is Keith Haney press release.
Here's the press release.
Yeah. And then I like that format of it. But what I also think is a little bit interesting, or will be interesting, is knowing some of the characters in this.
Sure.
There's, you typically think of the no prep world and the grudge world as the more smack talking, controversial kind of world.
Unhinged.
So, yeah, is that the case, or is it not? Because now, we have done a lot of smack talk in the last few years.
Sure.
So, is this year going to be that much gnarlier or not?
It depends, because I feel like we have a good balance between the characters and the not characters. It's time will tell. I think that the people that are going to speak out are going to speak out very vocal and really digging deeper than we've seen before. But then a couple of the other teams, I think they're just going to kind of hunker down and get to work and do what needs to be done and not talk so much. But because I'm actually really good friends with.
Hold on 1 second, Petty. Oh, Dimitri says, you never know what kind of dawn you might get this year.
Hopefully, we don't get any dawn.
After watching season 2, what do you think of Dawn?
Which you have to help me out. I'm
the dude that was the crazy guy that went at the go-kart track and stuff that we call dipshit Don.
Oh yeah.
Keith can do it better than Don.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you get some random shit like that, and I'm watching it what's this dude doing?
Yeah.
It's craziness.
You just see was the number of times that his ass or his dick was hanging out on the show. Am I right, Daddy?
No, 100%. 100%.
Dude, it was bad. I'm like,
it was
what
bad.
the hell are you doing?
When you were,
he'd walk up to the car and just hang it out. What? You better watch out, son. I got a grinder in my hand. It ain't gonna be pretty. I'll reach out and give you a little.
Hit the sparks over there, yeah.
The thing is you need a character like that to take a lot of the blame and a lot of the shit and a lot of the stuff and to keep it driving. But that was a little extreme, even for show standards.
Yeah, I agree. So that actually makes me think of this, and I mean, it doesn't have to be me, unless it should be me. So who's your favorite character of the 2 seasons? Is there a guy, not that you like, not from a personal standpoint, right? Don't say, oh, Lyle's my favorite because I just love that guy and we're great friends or whatever. But from a purely character fun to watch happen, who is the dude? That's a tough one, huh? Barrett, do you have one?
Dude.
Who's your
That's
favorite?
Tough.
Stinky Pinky's dad. Dean's dad.
Papa Dean, dude.
Yeah.
What you never saw?
Trip.
You saw a literally
I can
2
imagine.
second.
Them.
No, you saw 2 seconds of him running on day 1 in the Olympics. Dude, him running is like a cartoon character. It was the single greatest thing ever. We were laughing so hard. Everybody was. There was not a single person who had any thought about competition or anger or anything the moment that man was running across the parking lot.
No.
Papa Dean, I'm giving you that one, dude. Papa Dean was spectacular. And talk about just an awesome dude. He is as funny
Absolutely.
as they come, and he's just such a nice man. He's just so genuinely a nice man. I mean, I'd like him on my side in a bar fight, though, because he'll lay it down if he's got to.
Yeah, and he'll do whatever you want, but he's going to tell you how I feel about it the entire time he's doing it, too. It's just bullshit. You want me to, just keep on trucking.
I don't know why you'd want me to do it this way. I mean, I'll do it however you want, but it ain't the right way.
Why the hell am I doing it this way?
Oh, my God. Yeah. Holy crap. Yeah, so, Petty, what do you think?
I keep coming back to Keith. Dude, I love Keith. I love Keith, man.
He is such a train wreck.
He's such a train wreck, but at the same time, dude, I loved that whole vignette that we did with him and
yes,
seeing everything going, and he's like, I got out of racing for my family. He has these extremes, but through the whole thing, he's such a solid, cool, fun guy, and I can't get around that.
Dude, I have to agree with you on how Keith is, because seriously, if you know Keith and spend any amount of time with him and don't then if you do, you absolutely have wanted to physically choke him to death. You have wanted to hug him and cry with him, and everything in between.
Yep.
And because, God, he's so all over the map, my God. And there are times where you go, oh my God, I am not in the mood. I cannot deal. If Keith is in this Keith mood, I'm out. I cannot deal with him right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dude, oh, God.
All in a matter of like 5 minutes, are you ready to cry, hug, and choke him all at the same time?
Oh, absolutely. And, dude, that bastard, he's going to be on the show, by the way, later. And I would say all of this shit if he was listening in right now.
Oh, without a doubt.
He also is a damn instigator. He loves to see two people get mad at each other, especially if they're people he likes. Dude, he will make you guys fight, and he thinks it's the greatest thing ever. My dude. Keith Berry, knock you out, dude. Knock you out.
I love Keith. I love Keith. He's solid. Solid dude. 10 points.
So, before we get into our special guests, let's do really quick. What are your thoughts and expectations for season 3?
Oh man, season 3. I am really looking forward to it. There's a lot of really good talent, just like there has been in the past years. I honestly don't know. Like, looking at the teams, there's definitely going to be some characters for sure, but I think the caliber, because I feel like every year 10K like steps up the caliber of the contestants. Like, you guys obviously, like Team Biggin, dude, like up here, right? Like each season. I think overall for all the teams, I think we've stepped it up again, and the no prep side of it is going to be very, very interesting. It's very popular right now. A lot of people are following it, and we have a couple, like fairly well-known no prep racers. I think it's going to be really solid and really fun, and it's going to be, we're taking a different approach to a couple things. I'm really looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be really solid for sure.
So my question, and I know this is one that Barrett will want to know the answer on too, what is the tire this year?
So they can run, don't hold me to this, but it's either, it's small tire, so it's either, but I think that we are limiting them.
Allowing a slick instead of a drag radial?
Either or. I believe don't quote me, because this might have been, I need to look. I haven't looked for a minute, but I believe it's a 28-10-5 non-W slick or a 275 Pro.
Which they're the same size tire.
They are the same size tire,
Construction is just different. So,
yes.
Are you giving a weight break if anybody runs the radial instead?
I don't think so.
Oh, see, now that's how it should be. Give somebody 200 pounds or something if they'll run the radial.
That's a lot. That's a big break, dude.
100. No prep, I'll take the radial if we can. Actually, no, because what we'll do is we would just do a bunch of geometry in the rear, and I'd stand that bitch on the bumper, and we'd have.
It's not like 6 years ago where it's that big of a disadvantage. You got someone that's pretty familiar with the radial tire. I mean, they can probably make it, and it really is going to come down to, the track. Like somewhere like last weekend, Wichita Falls, you're going to need to be on your game.
I think we should. Get Robby on here. Robby from the Australians is our
all right.
Is our special guest, or one of them. I think you know this, but you were hands down our favorite Aussie of the entire thing. Like, you know how much Team Biggin loved you, and we loved hanging out with you, and I thought we were boys with Jamie when the first build was going on, but he hates us now. So he can suck it. I don't care. But we're just glad that you are still you, and I hope you have a great time when you get to California to do this again.
Mate, I can't wait. I really can't wait to hang out with the crew there. It's going to be awesome to meet some new people. We've been, just like last time, we had a good look at what we're up against, with you guys and the other teams, and we're doing the same with everyone we're going to compete against this time.
So, after doing your research, who do you think are the ones you've really got to worry about?
Oh, mate, I think they've all got a lot to offer, really. I'm we've got a bit to go, so I'm really in the early stages of checking everything out. I've been quite busy at work, so I really haven't got to the bottom of everyone just yet. But they've all got a lot to offer. They're all serious races, but no different to the first competition. I mean, we knew everyone could take the opportunity to win, no doubt about it.
So,
what did it mean for you to get this win in season 2, knowing the caliber of people that you were competing against?
Well, Chad, I'm pretty sure when we spoke, when we went to Biggin's house, and well, actually, no, yeah, it was at Biggin's house. You went there, and I was talking. I spent a night with Chad and with Lyle and Eric.
Yep.
When we got in the competition, I didn't think it would happen. When Jamie entered, I didn't think we had a fucking chance of getting in. And we were having a beer at a pub, and he's like, "I'm going to enter this competition. Are you in?" And I said, "Oh yeah." And I didn't think it'd go anywhere, And he goes, "Mate, I've got a good feeling. I think we'll be in." And I went, "Yeah, all right." And next thing we're in, and then I watched season 1, and then I checked out the other teams, the Midwest Boys and the Dream Team, and I thought I was a bit overwhelmed, to be honest with you. I'm just a little engine builder from the Gold Coast, and and I'm up against the likes of Pete Harrell and Dave Henninger and Joe, and I thought, mate, I don't want to go over there and look like a fool. And I was overwhelmed, to be honest with you. But to come away with a win against guys of the caliber of Biggins and Midwest and the Dream Team, we're all pretty proud of ourselves, no doubt about it.
Well, you should be. You absolutely should be. You did it on race day. You guys stepped up, and you did what you needed to do when we couldn't. Our car was not in for the long haul. The missile could not keep up. The transmission was out of that thing. It was not going to do its job, and you guys made sure that your car was going to go down the racetrack, and it did. And hats off to you. You did it, and I know how proud you were, and it was super cool to be, as disappointed as we were, it was super cool to see the smile on your face that night. Oh, mate, we were stoked, We were a bit concerned because it should have been faster, We did testing in Australia, and we knew that we were down in a fair bit of power, and we kept winding it up, and it wasn't going any faster. We've since found that the manifold had some cracks in it, it's leaking. We were comfortably in front, but we were trying to wick it up and go faster. And to be honest with you, like coming into the final race, I was overlooking at the missile, and I saw Eric fixing up the rotor button index, and I knew the next run was going to be a good one. Because I heard it going down the track, and Eric, I said, "What's going on?" He said, "I think we're on the limiter." It sounded like a miss to me, And when I saw that the phasing was out, I was pretty sure that was a problem with the engine running off. But, it wasn't the only problem for sure. But I knew it was going to be a bit faster in the last run, and it was it was a pretty good final. It certainly was. I mean, Barrett, you watched that thing. We're talking thousandths of a second.
Oh,
that's how it's supposed to
and to see you guys, come down there and Brian was taking over the announcing deal, and I was like, cool. So I was watching it happen, and the hatch flies open of the wagon, and it's one of those deals, and it's like, we're 20 foot in the air, so we kind of have a visual advantage, but I mean, cars dead locked in, and I'm like, this is gonna be anybody's show, and it just both of them go the same ET, and I'm like, that's what you want. You don't want a car to go out there and blow tires or something. You want both people to make the trip, and it makes it exciting. And even the fans in attendance were excited about it. Like, they're like, you mean these cars were $10,000? I'm like, yeah. They're like, no way. I'm like, yes, $10,000 cars.
Yeah.
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 Well, so how many people come into your shop now, Robby, and say, "Hey, I saw you built a piece of shit that goes that fast for no money, so I want you to build me a race motor for that cheap."
Look, yeah. I haven't had any calls to replicate that engine, but you know, people come in the shop and they're like, "I know you from somewhere," and oh yeah, I'll get around, and like, you were on that fucking show. Yeah, I was. Yeah, that's me. So, it was. I'm not much of a promoter, you know. Like, I don't know if you ever see my page, but you know, there's some cars and stuff on there, but you know, I don't put a lot of what I do on there. I probably should. But when we got back, it was pretty overwhelming, the amount of people that were supporting us back home, and you know, backing us, and pretty proud of us as well. And you know, our win was sort of their win back here.
Yeah, what was it like going home to the people that did know, right? Like your families and friends and all that. I mean, what was the reception like when you got home? Because you guys, you know, it wasn't like us where we had friends here and maybe we were home in a day. You know, you guys had to fly all the way halfway across the world to get home. So it's a big trip just to get back to your loved ones.
Yeah, and you know, and it's the same for the other guys. You know, I couldn't have done it without the crew that I have here. You know, the guys that work for me. You know, they keep the wheels rolling and make sure money's still coming in the door and jobs are getting out. You know, my wife, she's just awesome. She steps up, and you know, she has to handle the customers in the phone as well as everything around the home. Like, it's one thing to be able to do it, but the backup, you know, having an awesome wife is paramount. So thanks to you.
Dude, I know what you mean, because it's so much that you're not doing when you're doing the show for your regular business. You know, Biggin and Pete and us, everybody is experiencing that at some level. So that's the part I don't think people really realize, but it's still, I said earlier in the show, we were watching the like sizzle preview for season 3, and I said, all I want to do is be going back to California to build another car, even though that sounds like the dumbest thing ever. I mean, what's the attitude? What are you guys doing? Are you going out to absolutely just destroy everybody this year, or are you just going out there to make sure you represent yourselves well? What's the goal?
Well, you know, of course, again, we want to do the very best that we can. You know, we're of no delusions of, you know, the stiffness of competition. Just like the first one, you know, we took everybody seriously. I don't know if we were taken as seriously as we took everyone else. We think, you know, we've got the, you know, the smarts to come back and do it again, but we're not, you know, taking anybody lightly at all. You know, we haven't settled on what we're going to do just yet. You know, we're throwing a few things around. We discuss it regularly. You know, what we're going to, you know, potentially do. But yeah, mate,
is everybody coming back? Who's the team this time?
All right, so it's John and Nigel at Brutal, Jamie, Steve, and I. Yes, and Nathan, Big Nathan, of course.
Right. Very good. Well, You know, dude, that it was a tough fight in season 2. You know that we have gone round and round with Jamie and his, incessant smack talk. But know that I am rooting you on. Okay, so you are my favorite Aussie for sure. And so, we may have to smack Jamie around a little bit, but you're okay, Robby.
Oh, look, he's, Jamie's one of those guys. He's done a lot for me, and we've been good friends for about 30 years. And I've got friends that, they're not fans of Jamie, but I love him. I think he's awesome, but he likes to get in people's head and fuck with them a bit, I'm just the same, Chad, all the time. I love hanging with you guys. I'm going to make sure that when I go back to the States, probably not for horsepower wars, but next time I'm over, of course I'm pretty tight with Keithy, and he's over, a couple of hours from Biggins, and I'd love to go over there and shoot Biggins 50 cal again and hang with the boys.
Oh yes, we will for sure, I promise you. There, at some point here in the next 6 months, we definitely have to be hanging out for sure. And it's a weird time, so take care of yourself, take care of your family, keep it up. Good luck to you guys. I know that you're going to be seeing Petty soon, and so he's awesome. I think he's really looking forward to it.
Oh,
hey,
Keith.
Barrett, let's give Keith Berry a good woo chicken welcome. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Woo
chicken.
What's going on, fellas?
Keith Berry, you crazy bastard. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Okay, so Keith, let's talk 10K Drag Shootout.
Yes, sir.
So, season 2 was crazy. Everybody knows about the fire and the drama and all that. But I have one question about season 2, and then I want to talk about season 3. So, why, or no, not why. What is it about being the instigator that gets everybody riled up that just makes you smile more than anything else?
You can answer that question yourself.
I have been the victim many times of you poking the bear and doing all. Dude.
Here's the deal on season 2. As you guys know, but most don't know. I guess the Comp Cam's dream team team shuffled or whatnot. So like last minute, April the 1st last year, James calls me, and my daughters have already like April 1st fooled me, like several times, and I'm out of town, so I'm like, I'm over it. So James calls me, he's like, hey, do you want to be on this Horsepower Wars show? And I'm like, I've heard of it, but I'm not falling for the trap, right? So he's like, no, seriously, do you want to be the driver for this deal? And I'm already like, I guess retired or whatever for like 2-3 years or whatever. And so I'm like, and he's like, no, I'm serious. So I'm like, okay, sure. And he's like, well, I need an answer like within like hours because we have to make the announcement today. And so I did it, and I'm like, but you guys realize, right? Like, I don't build race cars. Like, I'm not like, if you guys want a chicken machine built or adjusted, like, I'm your guy. But if you want to figure out like what converter or like rear end gear or the wiring goes here, like, I'm not your guy. But if you want like drama and like button pushing guy, I'm your guy. So he's like, perfect.
Wait.
So yeah.
That's the shirt you need, Chief Button Pusher.
You as well, my friend.
Me? What?
So I don't know. It was that was fun though. It was dramatic from so many highs and so many lows. Yeah, what a deal, huh?
Well, so with all those highs and lows, though, we were talking about some of them earlier in the show. You know, what made you apply to try and put a team together for season 3? I mean, after everything that happened, why would you put yourself in that position again?
Honestly, I just wanted to come back and see my friends. I talk to the Australians every day. I think you guys had Robby on a little bit earlier.
Yep.
I talk to them all every day. Like I've been to Farmer's house. I've been to Australia and visited those guys. They've all been to my house. They come over here for Drag Week. I don't really care anything about racing a car. I don't. Like, I'm over it. We have the car just like you guys from season 2. I have zero interest in racing it. Jesse's going to race it. You know, I guess I technically own it along with, and I told Jesse he does as well. I don't want to race anymore. I don't. I just don't. I've got, you know, it scared my family for me racing anymore. So I respect that, and I just won't race a car anymore. Even though I want to, I would love to. I just won't. At South Georgia, it didn't scare me to race. I just knew that my family didn't want me to race, if that makes sense.
No, I was going to ask you about that because you, I wouldn't have, if somebody asked me, I wouldn't have said you were afraid to get in the race
not
car.
at all.
But I would have, if somebody asked, I would have said that you were apprehensive. And because it was different. I've seen people that shouldn't be in race cars because they're afraid of them. And that wasn't the scenario with you. I'm with you. I think it's interesting that you talk about it with regards to your family, because obviously I'm very fond of your family, and I think the world of you as a husband and a father. You're a great guy, and I think that you know, sometimes families get a bad rap because people are like, oh, I used to be into racing, but now I'm not because my wife doesn't like it or whatever, right? It's the age-old, like, joking, you know, funny thing. But the truth is, if you don't have a drive to race this car that is significantly more than the reservations that your family has, then you're doing the responsible thing, and there's nothing to be ashamed of in that decision. Not in my opinion.
We've had the private conversations about family and the losses and the worry of health and whatnot, you know, some very personal conversations. I don't, I would jump in. Well, I don't know if I'd get in a top fuel car. That'd probably scare the shit out of me, but, but obviously the horsepower wars cars aren't the caliber of the cars or the car that I raced before.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I just, you know, I'm getting older, which I'm not super old, but I'm getting older, and my family's fears are more important than my desires for fun, if you will. So,
well, because there are other things you can do for fun.
Sure.
But I will say that Barrett is above you on my screen here, and he's laughing when you said you're old, but not that old. Because Barrett's like 12, you big bastard.
No,
Don't you dare start making fun of us old people.
I was laughing about our earlier conversation.
So, but yeah.
Which one? We were talking about you earlier, Barry.
No.
About how just...
About when you get to a certain age. When
you get to 50.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's a whole nother conversation. It was testicular in nature. Yes.
From what I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
From what I understand, like my team, if you will, is like in the staging area, if you will. If somebody decides they can't do it or whatnot, we're an alternate. That being said, I don't think I would drive it. I think I would, rather Jesse. Jesse's still young and vibrant and wants to drive. I just don't want to. I don't want to. I want to race again. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I'm just right now right now just isn't the time for me to race. I enjoy racing. Don't get me wrong. I love it. But it's just, it's just not the time for me to be racing. And like you said, when we were in South Georgia, to be 100% honest, if I could find anything wrong with the car not to race, it wasn't that I was scared to race. It's not that at all. It's just, I'm like, I just didn't want to race. I just didn't,
You didn't need it.
Yeah, I just didn't. Yeah, I just did not want to race. I wanted to see the race. I wanted to see the car compete, but I just wasn't interested in racing. I had no problem. I wasn't scared strapping in or letting go of the button, anything like that. It's nothing. It's not that at all. It's just, I don't know.
Let me ask you this: how does it make you feel if I told you that earlier in the show I asked Petty who his favorite character from season 1 or 2 was? Not this is a guy I'm really good friends with and he's a spectacular human being or whatever, but just from a purely character standpoint, who was your favorite character of both seasons? And he went, Keith Barrett.
That's interesting. I think my favorite character, let me think who my favorite character is. Lyle's up there.
Yeah.
Lyle's up there. I think Don.
Dude, you were going to go Don. And you know what Barrett said? Barrett said Papa Dean from season 1 because Papa Dean was hilarity. But I love that you said Don because we talked about Don.
Don?
Do you think that Don was good or bad for the show?
For the show, I think he's probably an A+. For the team,
A minus. Let's go A minus on that.
I think he pulled his dick and his ass out too many times to be anywhere in the A.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Okay, B minus.
Don has a heart of hearts.
He does.
He is a complete dumpster fire.
Oh my God, yes.
But for the show, wonderful. For the team, you know what? I never really thought about it like this. He was, I don't mean this to sound the wrong way. Don was a team destroyer, but yet a team uniter. Does that make sense?
Yes, because on the one hand, every once in a while, something he did made everybody on his own team want to kill him, right? Then that was say 10% of the time. Then 80% of the time he was the guy that everybody just sort of shook their heads at and whatever. And then the other 10% of the time, you guys as a team found yourself having to defend the little bastard because he was your guy, right?
Don's Don. I mean, if you don't know him personally, I mean, everybody's going to see this that doesn't know Don personally. They're not going to understand. We understand. Don's he is a unique individual, like most of us are, obviously. But
not a mean bone in his body. I will say that. No. Absolutely. He never, ever, ever, ever that I saw did something.
Nope.
Because he was trying to be mad or piss somebody off. Even when he was an idiot at the go-kart track, he literally just didn't think about it. He didn't think anything about that would piss anybody off. Because he just was like, do, this is me being me, So you got to at least, you got to give him some credit for that. Because the guy, no matter whether he did it right, wrong, or otherwise, he absolutely put his heart and soul into everything he was trying to do.
He did. I'm sorry. I had to come over here and stir chicken. He did. Like he never had I don't think he has a bad intention. I'm sorry. I'm getting off the camera. He doesn't have a bad intention in his body. He doesn't.
Not at all.
But Don is Don was Don.
Dude, and what people don't understand, I don't know that this ever was really shown on the show that much. Don got fired from his job because of the show. Like, he told his boss when he was going to be gone and when he was coming back, and I don't know if the communication didn't soak in or whatever, but his boss told him with 2 days left or whatever, if you're not at work tomorrow morning, you're fired. And I mean, it was physically impossible for him to get there even if he left the shop immediately and got on a plane, because there was no physical way for him to fly all the way across the country in that amount of time. But dude, he lost his job for the show.
And he knew it. Don is 100%, I don't want to say race car, but he's 100% like car guy, if you will. Like
Yep.
I've probably never seen anybody in my life as passionate as Don is. But there's a lot of other stuff that I've never seen anything in my life that Don is also.
But I mean, you know, like you, I'm sure.
Oh my God, that's the greatest.
Petty, I mean, you guys have seen it, but the dream team's always kind of weird because you don't have a tight-knit group of people. You've just got all these other little people, and then it's like, hey, y'all work together. You're like,
it was
okay, like,
how? It was a weird deal. Honestly, I had never heard of anybody that was on our team at all. I didn't know any of their names. You know, we started a little group message chat thing or whatever prior to the show. I, you know, spoke to most of them in person on the phone. But obviously through text messages. I had no clue about the show or no clue about these people. That being said, myself and Dave, we talk all the time. Me and Jesse talk probably 3, 4, 5 times a week. He's kind of like a long lost brother. The Australians, huge relationship with them.
Yeah, so what the hell happened? How in the hell did we go from all these teams competing to we get to Georgia and all of a sudden it's the dream Aussie team it's a 2-car team I didn't understand at all where all of that came from. It was the weirdest thing. Like, we're going, did we miss a day? Were we supposed to be here for something else? Like, I didn't understand.
It's just organic.
I wasn't the only one. I was asked by the TV people a lot.
It's just something that organically happened. I mean, obviously, you know, I knew you guys, everybody basically on the Team Biggin team before. The Midwest team, you know, I'd never heard of a single one of those guys before, and I don't mean that disrespectful. I just didn't know them.
Right. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not being disrespectful
which
at all.
I like all those guys. There's nobody from season 2 that I don't like. I mean, I like them all. Some more than others, some less than others. But yeah.
It's not nice to talk about me that way on my show. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa and Nebraska is a long ways away from Georgia. I mean, that's why you heard a lot of those guys.
They're just in a different style of racing. It's like Jesse. Jesse, you know, he's very well known in California for the bracket racing and all the stuff that he's done. But I had never heard his word or his name. I'm sorry, I'd never heard his name ever. And he's pretty big.
And yet now look at how good of friends you guys have become.
He's been to my house.
Christmas cards?
Yeah, well, not Christmas cards. I don't do Christmas cards. But actually, in the chicken industry, you know, because he does stuff other than just race cars, I've introduced him to chicken plants to do like millwright work and stuff out in California to plants, and you know that's on his side and his deal, and I have no involvement other than hey, this is my friend Jesse. He's a good person to work for, or work with, or whatnot. It's just crazy. That's the biggest thing I take away from Horsepower Wars is it's not the car. Experience is probably number 2, but the friendship or the new friendships or whatnot, for life. That's the number one thing. I
agree with you because obviously, I mean, like, Biggin and I have been friends for a long time, and I knew who Lyle was obviously before, but he was going through his thing while we were going through our thing, and so we didn't know each other other than knowing about each other. Same with Pete, same with Bailey, same with Jason. Lyle and I are inseparable. It's retarded how crazy good friends we are and how close we are. But it is, yeah, I know, right? But it's funny because you say that and Petty's over here nodding, because as much as Petty likes all the drama and stuff, I think we all can agree, anybody that's been on the show knows that Petty's like the guy that really cares. Like, sometimes to a fault, dude. I mean, he wears his heart on his sleeve. Sometimes this thing is brutal on him in ways that none of the rest of the world realizes. I mean, you sit there and you're shaking your head and nodding a little bit there, Brian, but it's true. I mean, you put a heavy burden on yourself during this show.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that at all. And it's interesting because I meet so many people and I develop all these relationships, and then on top of wanting to be friends and developing these relationships, I've also got to be the guy that, like, sometimes, like, bring you bad news, like, dude, that part's just not going to fly. And it's like, it kills me inside. It's like, I just want to give you guys everything you want and be buddies. But it's such a fine line, you know what I mean, between all that. And you saw it in season 1. I mean, Keith wasn't there, but dude, in season 1, you saw it firsthand, Chad. That was a rough deal at the race. That was one of the worst times in my life, and you saw it firsthand. So,
and you, I mean, you took all of that burden on yourself. Truthfully, you didn't deserve all of it, as I've told you, since.
Sure.
But it's funny you say that, Keith, because the name of this show, like, people go, Drag Racing Friends, what the hell? Like, we laugh because we said, this is sort of like, it's a little Howard Stern-esque because it's everybody talking smack, having fun, being idiots, being goofy, all those things. But at the end, we all hug it out, right? And we're all in this together. It doesn't matter what kind of racing you do. It doesn't matter if you're racing against somebody. Ultimately, all these drag racers are in this together, and we all, care about each other.
I think what sums it up, and like I said, like you and Petty will know, we sat and we argued and tried to get this passed, and ratted on this and ratted on that. Like,
dude, you are a cheating bastard. A cheating bastard.
For sure. But what was it, Sunday night that we finished up at midnight? I remember the countdown, and then like it was just like this big weight went off your shoulder, and just everybody was proud and celebrating each other. And Petty was up on wasn't you up on a box like dancing?
Yes.
I remember that.
I think so.
I was counting off money off my roll.
Yeah. So.
The Keith Berry roll. Keith, hey, Barrett, if Keith ever tells you he'll pay you this roll of money, take it, but know that it's only $60, okay? Because he keeps 61s in a roll this big all the time in his pocket.
Yeah.
So with 5 minutes left to go in the competition, he says, Chad, let me borrow your scales. And I was like, I don't know if we should let you borrow my scales. And unbeknownst to him, we were going to let him borrow them literally with like 5 minutes left. But he goes, here, I'll pay you $60 to rent your scales. And my Proform scales are you, my friend. And gave them to him. But the funny part was, Petty knows this too, they're all at the front of their car reading the weight, and I'm in the trunk.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Oh, they realized it. You didn't, but Jesse realized after. He's like, how is it this heavy? And I'm literally sitting in the trunk of the car.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
But no, it was
us.
fun.
All right, well, guys, I have a hard out. I have to get out of here. I've loved talking to all you guys, but I've got to bounce. So
no, and it is time.
It's time.
Yes. And Keith Berry, thank you so much for joining us. I really, really appreciate it. To Robby Abbott, who joined us earlier,
He's
thank
awesome.
you. Brian Petty, you are the man. Thank you so much for being a part tonight of the show. And my boy Barrett Green, co-host extraordinaire. I love having
buddy.
you on board. You know
I need
that.
another big hat mafia, like one of those big
His
hats.
hats are rad.
I left it at Darlington, so.
Okay.
Mindy probably wants
we'll get
one
you
also,
another
so
one.
send me 2.
I was gonna say I'm gonna need like
Sounds good.
4.
All right, boys.
Okay.
Everybody that tuned in, thank you so much. This has been episode 5, the 10K Drag Shootout edition of Drag Racing Friends. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.